Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus one more time, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. Look, I got a important message I'd like to share with you today. I hope you can receive it as such. And I'm going to get straight on to the point. You know, we're talking about the things that happen in our world and getting some real understanding of it. Understanding that really serves a purpose other than just trying to create animosity and resentment, but something that can cause us to come together and become more of a unit. I think it would take truth and have those who are seeking truth for this to be effective. I speak on this silent partners to corruption and evil, because a lot of times people don't understand. You know, they'll point a finger at what is obvious. This is the reason. We'll blame this and we'll blame that. But there are so many other reasons that seem to be insignificant. They are not, but they appear to be because they are hidden and people might not be so aware of them. And I'd like to share some of that with you. You see, everyone that violates their oaths and allow corruption to exist are partners in corruption and evil. Even if it includes not having a president release his taxes when everybody else has, that's a partner in corruption. Or say that you're going to support a defendant like hand in glove when it is your duty to hold a trial that's fair and unbiased. When these things exist, it's in partnership to corruption by those who will do it and by those who allow it to happen. Even those that support social and civil servants that violate their duties to the principles are partakers to corruption. I want you to understand these things, ladies and gentlemen, because they affect every last one of our lives, not just yours, but every last one of us. Some of them, someone that points out problems that exist, but do nothing about them themselves, do nothing to correct it. They are partners in crime and corruption and evil. And this includes all of us, just to name a few, but not limited to, let's say, educators, our health providers. You can think of ways in which
Here's what I found on the web.
You know good well it's not supposed to be happening. Our farmers, ladies and gentlemen, it always happens. I have my phone with me, and that sucker just keep interrupting me, doing things on his own. That means that they're always listening to me. I don't care, because everything I'm saying, I want everybody to hear. So that's why I keep it with me anyway. But yes, our educators, our health providers, they are all participants. Our farmers, those who deal with providing housing, and our lawyers, our community officials, our churches, our preachers, our students, our businessmen, our corporations, our unions, our governments, our employees, the poor, the newspapermen and weathermen, our parents and our children. We are all participants in corruption and evil. I know we want to blame everybody else, but every last one of us are participants. And the reason I want you to listen to this message is because I want to point it out to you in such a way that you'll understand it easily and won't fuss. You see, we talk about democracy. This democracy, we held it up against the world as being a light on a hill, that those below would know the way up. But what is this democracy truly about? For those that have lived 100 years, they've seen some strangeness in this democracy that was hidden from view. Strangeness that prepared this democracy for an evil crook such as is the U.S. president. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen, if this democracy was true to its claim, there is no way they would have such an evil person as president. what is being reflected is that while democracy was professing publicly to be a model for the world, within it was turning into a monster, looking and waiting for a leader. This democracy chose such evil, evil with contempt for the law, and the law that was written to protect the law. Where is this democracy? Where those sworn an oath to protect the law and the people from such as these, where they violate the rules and publicly state to continue violations. This would be a democracy that is dying or dead. Now, if Obama tried it, democracy would have been alive and well, whether Obama would have been or not. Perhaps it's time we, the people, see that which is in our face. If we don't like what we see, then perhaps make a change. Not a change back to what brought us here, but a change that truly works for all the people and take us to a place acceptable to us all. Perhaps we should go for such an outcome. For truly, what is more worthy? More of the same? If we reject what we have now, the alternative is doing what is right. We talk about hate crimes and racism. People say they're tired of it. But the actions of engagement are in conversations, and they want to include the voices of the clergy, training the first responders and the cops about strategy, even asking the community to just reject it. Just reject it. This is an expression of naivety. The nation must face the truth, ladies and gentlemen. This is not happenstance, hatred or of one another that is often expressed through racism and racist means they are created. Let me say that again. When this hatred, and this racism, and this bigotry that we have to experience every day is created, to say no when the stimulus is constant is what allows for the current presidential administration in the United States. I know a lot of times you get tired of me, especially people who support Trump, hearing me saying things about Trump. But Trump kind of epitomizes all that I have ever understood evil to represent and what it means. You know, for those of you who haven't ever seen the movie or read the book about The Stand by Stephen King, you ought to check it out. Because if you did, you'd just see Donald Trump. I promise you, the guy acting like the devil even looks like Donald Trump. Well, back to my point. To just say no is like thinking affirmative action resolves the problem of discrimination, when in reality it only spreads the discrimination around. Such action is paramount to Christians speaking for a God of love, while practicing the basic principles of selfishness and man's superiority to God. Excuse me. The problem is either folks don't know the truth or they do not care for the truth. So what does it take to draw people to seek and respond to truth? Hopefully it doesn't take wildfires that burn thousands of homes. Can you believe it? Or floods destroying cities and towns, including the effects of hurricanes and tsunamis and famines. Ladies and gentlemen, the solutions rest in justice and fairness between all people and all societies and nations. These are the things seldom spoken of. To do so suggests an understanding that social and economic systems must change. In fact, since no current system around the world reflects the desired outcome, it makes it clear that the system must be brand new. As spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people, the solution is obvious to me. However, after 40 years of constant commitment, it is evident that there are those that profit from the system in spite of the pain and suffering it causes, and the ability to keep many ignorant or fearful of change is a planned strategy for power seekers to deny truth at every level as a means to glorify Satan and man. I put Satan in there because evil just brags Satan everywhere it goes, while denying the existence of a God of solutions, champion peace and prosperity and freedom, joy and the fulfillment of dreams. If I ask you right now, who amongst you favors such peace and prosperity? Many of you would sign on the dotted line. If I asked who amongst you are willing to stand up and put muzzles to the outcome, all of you will stay seated. This is why hate, crimes, racism, bigotry, poverty, terror, and war exists and continues. And as the system is willing to murder its citizens by the millions rather than change, there is another message that should follow. And since I've given you about 11 minutes of this, and to tell you the continuation of this would probably take an additional 5 minutes. So I'm going to cut it off here, let you know. This one here is Silent Partners to Corruption and Evil. And the continuation of this, I'm going to call it New Message. Because what I have given you a brief scenario of what is going on. I want to get more specific than that. I want to make it a little bit clearer than that. And yet I couldn't tell you what the true fulfilled answer is in the first part, because I need to set it up with the first part. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for your time. So flip on over to part 2. See you in a minute. Bye-bye.